What up, y'all? It's the Robot Watcher back with another video. Grab your binoculars. I was supposed to say that first, but we here to talk about Xavier Legette. If you been paying attention to the channel, you know yesterday I dropped a video on Dave Canales, the new Panthers head coach. Go back and watch that and see how he'll help out Bryce Young and how he helped out Baker. But if you like this video, like, subscribe, and comment what you think. Let's go ahead and get into it. Now, our boy Xavier Legette, or Legit, one of those, Legette. We're going to talk about his stats. He's 6'3", 227. He's a super senior, so he's been in school for 5 years. Let's talk about his first 4 years in school. He did nothing, basically. So 2019, 11 games, 9 catches, 80 yards, 0 touchdowns. 2020, 6 games, 7 catches, 113, 0 touchdowns. 2021, 11 games, 8 catches, 63 yards, 1 tutty. 2022, the most games he's ever played, 13 games, most catches, yards, and touchdowns he's ever had, 18, 167, 3 tutties. But then finally, 2023, he gets his breakout. He's a starter. He plays 12 games, 71 catches, 1,255 yards, and 7 tutties. Late bloomer. But let's go ahead and get into it right now. All right, everybody's favorite part of the video, Xavier Legette's strengths. First thing that I noticed when I was watching this film, crazy, maybe not crazy, but a great catch radius. He's able to extend fully, jump up in the air, bend over backwards, and catch the ball. He has an amazing catch radius from the film that I've seen. Like I said, I don't watch every game. This is not a full eval. This is just the games that I have, 4 or 5 games, in a mid-season or a mid-draft season eval. So before the combine, senior bowls, all those things. Anyways, great catch radius from the games that I've seen. I really liked how he was able to extend, catch out of his frame, bring the ball in, have strong hands, things like that. Really, really good at the catch point also. He's really, really strong in his hands. Really good contested catcher also. Whenever he needs to make a jump ball or he has a guy in his frame kind of disrupting the catch, he's really good at that. The next thing that I noticed, his speed on film. The reason I say speed on film is because I don't know if he'll be a super combine warrior, because sometimes it looks like it takes him a minute to get up to that speed, but once he gets going, his speed on film is crazy. And which leads into the next point, he's a legitimate deep threat. Like, he's going to be able to stretch the defense. You're going to have to play off him a little bit, especially if you have a slower corner. You're going to have a safety over top that's playing deep, because he can get past the guy and really make a defense pay. Legitimate deep threat, really, really good downfield, really good speed on film. I think he ran like 22.3 miles per hour on the little tracker thing that'd be on Twitter. You know what I'm talking about. I don't know their actual name, but he's really, really, really fast and has really, really good legit speed and a legit deep threat with his catch radius, with his speed, and with his strong hands and jump ball ability. He's basically a really good deep threat. Also, next thing that I noticed, he uses his physical gifts to win on routes. The reason I put this as a plus, because sometimes you have guys that are really, really big, really, really strong, really, really tall, but play like they're small, play like they're a little receiver, little nimble receivers. And I don't like when I see that from a bigger bodied or bigger framed wide receiver. He doesn't have that problem. He uses his strength. He's able to throw guys off him in the middle of a route, use his hands to push guys away. He uses his speed. Like I said, he's threatening deep. He's getting up the top speed and getting past those wide receivers or DBs. And he kind of uses his speed to throttle down, to threaten the DB and throttle down into a curl or kind of snap off into a dig, things like that. He uses his physical gifts to win. He knows what he is. He knows he's a big, strong guy. That's why he folds up the jersey. That's why he doesn't have any accessories on his arms, because he wants you to see, I'm a big, strong guy and I'm a play like that. I'm a big, strong, fast guy and I'm a play like that. That's a positive to me. Also, since I was talking about his physical gifts, he's violent on in and out breaking routes at the is it the stem or whatever you want to say, he's breaking it off. Like I say, he uses physical gifts. He gets up to top speed fast, throttles down on the curl. But on this particular thing for in and out breaking routes, he gets up to full speed and kind of violently snaps off into an out route or snaps off into a dig. Really, really violent and good on those in and out breaking routes when it comes to the point where he needs to break off at the DB. And that's a really good thing when it comes to his route running. And which his next point, I love how I'm flowing into Segway King, you feel me? Segway King. Vibe, you know the vibe. Real Segway watcher, you know what it is. Real SW, you know what it. Oh, not real SW, RSW. Anyways, segueing into the next point, he has upside as a route runner because of that. Because he knows how to use his physical gifts to win in a route when it comes to his strength, when it comes to his speed. Because he's violent in his in and out breaking routes and able to throttle down. I think he has upside as a route runner if you can kind of teach him to be a little more nuanced, to use better timing, when to go fast, when to slow down, when to kind of burst out of those things. I think he has upside as a route runner. He just won't be there year 1, maybe even year 2. Not saying he's AJ Brown, but that's kind of what AJ Brown was seen as, kind of a physical specimen who's really good after the catch, really good with yak, and has upside as a route runner, and he turned into that. DK Metcalf, on the other hand, physical specimen, not really the best at running routes, that didn't really develop them as much, but he has gotten better. That could be what Xavier Legette is when it comes to his upside as a route runner. Next thing I want to talk about is he's great at crossers over the middle. Whenever you kind of see him in the slot, he's running across the face of the safety, getting it to him deep. It's money. It's money because of his speed, and because most of the time when he's in that slot, they're playing off. He's able to gain speed across the middle of the field, and since they're playing off, he's able to run past those guys. Or if you throw the ball in there late to get to the catch point, he has shown the ability to really go up, float, and get the ball. He's really, really good over the middle of the field, and on those crossers or digs, he gets the ball in space. Pew! That boy is gone. You're lucky I don't have my soundboard set up yet, because I don't have all the soundboards I like, but he is a road runner once he gets it across the middle of the field. Really, really good across the middle of the field. Bryce Young strength, by the way. But anyway, sorry, getting the SC fans wild up. Next thing I want to talk about is he's a strong runner. He's a very strong runner. Once he gets going, it's hard to bring him down. He's running through arm tackles. He's running past guys. He's just simply beating angles when it comes to his speed. He's able to shrug guys off. He's not afraid of contact. He's able to put his shoulder down if he needs to, break out of arm tackles, like I said before. He gets going, and it's almost like, man, it don't look like they necessarily want to hit him. It don't look like you can even put a hit on him when he gets going, because you got to think he's deeper downfield, or he's 10-15 yards downfield. Those linebackers aren't there, so it's DBs that got to take this 6'3", 227 physical specimen, which also has as a strength, physical specimen, down on their own. Not a good matchup, by the way. But last point, like I said, he's a physical specimen, 6'3", 227, and able to run at 22, almost 23 miles per hour. Like I said, I don't know if his 40 time would be good, but his miles per hour will be at the top of the league almost every year if he goes to the right system, is able to get the ball in space. Physical, God's gift to football, basically, when it comes to physical specimen. But let's get into the stuff that's not necessarily his game. All right, you knew this when I started talking about it originally. Late bloomer. It took him not even a minute. It took him his whole career to get going, to giddy up. Usually those late bloomers, when it comes to wide receivers, quarterbacks, maybe not quarterbacks, because you got guys like Cam Newton, but when it's guys that have been on the field and given the opportunity and they don't play good until that last year, usually that's a red flag and kind of can show that maybe he's not going to be as good at the next level. Doesn't mean he won't be good at all, but late bloomer is always a red flag for me. Next thing I want to talk about, not nuanced as a route runner. I talked about his upside is high, but he doesn't really, like I said, he doesn't have timing down on certain things. Like, he doesn't know when to slow down, speed up at least. He doesn't really have a lot of stems within his route, a lot of different breaks outside of in and out breaking routes. He just doesn't have much in his game as a route runner, and that leads into him not being much of a separator, which would be the third point, Segway King, RSW. He's not much of a separator because of that. Most of the time, like I said, the reason I've seen his catch radius is really good and his ball skills in the jump ball is because he doesn't really create a lot of separation whenever they're in press man on the outside. He plays on the outside and in the slot. In the slot, it's a little easier because those guys are playing off. He's able to beat them with their speed. But when it comes to somebody up in his face, in his hip pocket, he just doesn't separate and doesn't have a lot of nuance to beat those guys on whatever route it is, really. That leads into another point. He needs to expand his release package. His release package is always step, go, step, go, step, go, step, go, step, go. I just want to see a little bit more added. Hey, maybe slow it down, get it to it faster. Maybe get off the line quick, slow down, get out. You know, just get a little more head fakes, maybe play into the defender's leverage this way, kind of break it off the outside that way, or the opposite of that direction. Add more to your release package. It's mostly the same every time. Also, now I know I talked about him being a freight train, and once he gets going, he's hard to bring down. But that reminds me of one guy named Derrick Henry, and he's a Derrick Henry-esque runner. I know that does not sound like a negative, because Derrick Henry is one of the best running backs in the league, maybe one of the best running backs all time. We'll see. Really good running back. But when you hear people talk about him, these linebackers, these defensive players in interviews, podcasts, all those things, the first thing they say is, if you can get him before he gets going, he's not hard to tackle. Now, I think Legette will be a yak machine, because if you're able to get him the ball in space, and once he gets going, he'll be good. But if you're able to get down on him early, if you throw him a screen at the line of scrimmage, throw him a quick slant, and somebody's able to get on him before he gets going, he's not going to provide too much yak, and he's not much of a creative runner when it comes to making guys miss, juking this way, misdirection, things like that. That's why I said he's a freight train. He's going to run hard and run through guys, run strong, run fast, but he's not necessarily creative when it comes to his yak. So he has to get going so he can run as hard as he can and be able to break tackles, things like that, which is great. But if you're able to get on him quick, he's not going to have much to add to the yak game. But it could be seen as a positive or a negative. I just haven't noted. Let's just say that. Also, next thing, he's not necessarily a good blocker considering his size. We talked about him being a physical specimen, 6'3", 227, super fast. You would think he's out there road grading, mauling guys. I didn't see any of it on film when it comes to mauling guys, and I didn't see much that was like, oh, okay, maybe if he gives more effort, it's a little good. He just isn't that good of a blocker, which can be improved. But that's all for the stuff that's not his game. Let's get into the player builder right quick. All right, let's go ahead and talk about it. Today, we have built a freight train of yak. I know, I said freight train a lot in this video, but like we said before, he's just a physical specimen in that A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf-esque of build. And when you get him the ball and you get him going, he's very hard to bring down. Get him the ball across the middle on end breakers, things like that. He's going to be really fast. He's a deep threat. He's able to break tackles. He's able to outrun angles. Just a freight train, basically. He's going to provide a team a whole bunch of yak if they use him correctly and if they develop him correctly. He could be a star wide receiver. Not saying he will, not saying he won't, but he could be a star wide receiver if somebody can develop him and use him properly. Or maybe if he don't develop, maybe he'll be like the first shades of, let's go ahead and get into it, DK Metcalf or DK Metcalf. Somebody who didn't necessarily develop much as a route runner, but is still just a star because he's just such a better physical athlete than everybody else. He's able to beat them on jump balls. He's able to beat them with his speed downfield. He's able to beat them once he gets the ball in his hand and beat angles and run through arm tackles because he's so big. Who does that sound like? The guy we just talked about. Xavier Legette could be a DK Metcalf-esque. I don't know if he has enough quick twitch and side-to-side ability and nuance in his routes to ever get to maybe an A.J. Brown level where he has the A.J. Brown route running ability and release package and his lack of release packages. I don't know if he get there, but I could see him hitting the DK Metcalf ceiling pretty easily, especially with the ball skills that he has and the speed and strength that he has, especially as a runner. Really good runner. The next shades up I have is Panther fans. I know y'all gonna kill me. Jonathan Mingo. I was high on Jonathan Mingo coming out. Not higher than guys like Jaden Reed, who was tied for my wide receiver 1. Not higher than guys like Tank Dell. But I had him in the esque of conversations like Josh Downs. I was high and I was cool with the pick. I still think Jonathan Mingo will be good. But when you look at those guys, both of them kind of lack a release package at the line of scrimmage. Both of them need refinement in their route running, need more nuance in the route running. Both of those are kind of big, stockier guys. Xavier Legette looks like he took roids. Jonathan Mingo doesn't as much, but both of those guys are big, stronger guys, and both of those guys can be good after the catch. Jonathan Mingo was pretty good after the catch in those RPOs at Ole Miss, but wasn't used much of that in the new system in Carolina. But these guys, and we look at their, I think I had a post on Twitter. I don't have it for the video. Sorry, I don't have the graphic for the video. When we look at their ESPN and PFF scores, when it comes to receiving, when it comes to open percentage, yak, and catchability, the scores were damn near identical. I mean, damn near identical. I think If you take Jonathan Mingo, put steroids in him, and make him a lot more athletic and faster, you basically have Xavier Legette. You get what I'm saying? But and better ball skills also. He has way better ball skills than Jonathan Mingo. So I don't necessarily see him having as bad of a rookie year, or bad is relative. I don't think Mingo's rookie year was that bad considering the scenario he was in and his stats. They weren't terrible. 400, almost 500 yards isn't terrible. Wish he got a touchdown, but it isn't terrible. Anyways, next, moving on, Treylon Burks, another guy that was touted as the next AJ Brown, DK Metcalf type thing. Basically, he is not that great of a route runner. He doesn't have many release packages at the line, but he is a good deep threat. He does have speed, and when he gets the ball in his hands, he's like a running back. He's really hard to bring down. Sounds familiar. But if all fails, if his speed doesn't translate as much, if his hands ability doesn't translate as much, if he never develops as a route runner, and he's not so much of a great athlete that he can just beat guys off of athletics like DK Metcalf, Treylon Burks is basically Xavier Legette. SC fans, don't kill me, but don't shoot the messenger. I'm just letting y'all know. Basically, that's all I really have for when it comes to his player build. I don't know where I would take him. I would not take him in the first, I don't think, unless you have a lot of good wide receivers and you have really good wide receiver development. But as a Panthers fan, I'm a Panthers fan, so I'm kind of thinking of where I would take him. Wouldn't take him in the first. Wouldn't take him over A.D. Mitchell. I wouldn't take him over Troy Franklin. Wouldn't take him over Keon Coleman. I don't know if maybe over Ladd, maybe. So maybe middle of the second down. I think he's going to go day 2 regardless. Middle of the second down, I would take him. So really interesting player, really polarizing player. We'll see what he does, but that's all I got for y'all. It's been a real ball watcher. Put up your binoculars. If you like the video, like, subscribe, and comment what you think. Comment who you want to see next also. Watch that Dave Canales video from yesterday. Please watch the Dave Canales video from yesterday. I don't know if it's going to do well. I don't know if this video is going to do well. I shouted out this video and that video. Got to shout out that video in this video. So, this been a real ball watcher. I'll see y'all next week.